You are watching Average Joe Video, and today I'm going to show you how to fix a very common issue with a Club Car Precedent aftermarket brake light kit. So you don't want to miss this one. Let's get into it. If your brake lights are not working at all, or they are illuminating randomly, then this is the video for you. While you're thinking of it, please smash that like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on other videos just like this one. Safety first, before beginning any work on your golf cart, make sure that you set the parking brake. The first step in troubleshooting the brake lights is to turn on the lights and see if the rear lights illuminate. In this case, my golf cart is not wired that the ignition has to be in the on position for the headlights to work. Some golf carts, the ignition must be in the on position, otherwise the headlights and taillights will not turn on. So as you can see, the taillights are lit up, which means that the lights themselves are most likely not the issue. Instead, we're going to look at the brake light switching mechanism. Now that we've verified the rear lights are working, we're going to turn off the lights and we're going to look further into the brake light switching issue. Since the lights on my cart work with the ignition in the off position, I'm going to actually turn off the main power to the cart before beginning any other work. It's important to note that the brake light wiring can only be accessed from the top side of the cart. You are not able to access any of the brake light wiring from the underside. There are 4 T40 Torx screws that secure the trim pieces that are holding the mat down. There's 2 on each side. So we're going to go ahead and remove those first. By the way, this is a great time to smash that like button if you haven't already. It's also a great time to consider subscribing to the channel so you can see more helpful videos just like this one. Now that the screws are removed, it is time to remove the floor mat. Now the floor mat on my cart is actually very dry rotted. Obviously, when you're doing this, be careful because the mat is easy to tear. Mine already had a tear in it from before, but I like to use a flathead screwdriver and just kind of work on one of the corners. And you can pull that trim piece out so that it exposes the lip of the mat, and that makes it a little bit easier. Remember, you've got to lift it up over the pedal group that's there, so it is sometimes helpful just to go to the other side and kind of work on both sides at the same time. But the mat does also have a lip under the seating area. So you just have to take your time, but once you can get the mat out of the way, it's so much easier. Some people try to do this without removing the mat entirely, but I find it to just be cumbersome, and honestly, it makes the job that much harder. So take your time, be careful that you don't tear the mat, and remove it entirely so that you can move on to the next step. Next, it is time to remove the floor cover. All that's holding the floor cover in place is a plastic pin or clip. I find the easiest way to remove this is with a small flathead screwdriver to just get under that head of the pin, and then you can work your way around it and you'll be able to pull it right out. These are easy to break, so make sure you have a little bit of patience with it. Once that pin is removed, you can just lift the cover off, and now you have full access to the brake light switch wiring. So let's break down what we have here under the floor cover. For starters, this is the brake light switch. Sometimes it is referred to as a brake light plunger switch. Essentially, what happens is when you press down on the pedal, it pulls the spring, which then activates the switch and sends power to the remaining parts of the circuit. This little black box that you see back here is actually a 20 amp inline circuit breaker. So this is where the power goes before it even reaches the switch. This is there to protect everything in the event there is a short circuit. Lastly, this is the brake light timer relay. This controls how long the brake lights are continuously illuminated. Since the plunger switch is activated anytime the brake pedal is pressed, this presents a small issue. What happens when the parking brake is set and the plunger switch is activated indefinitely? This would cause the brake lights to stay illuminated indefinitely, and obviously that would draw the battery down. This is the reason why a brake light timer relay is a necessary component of the brake light system. It controls the maximum amount of time that the brake lights can stay illuminated continuously with the single press of the pedal. Okay, next let's break down the wires very quickly. So this red wire is the incoming power. It does change over to black and then back to red, and then it goes into the 20 amp inline circuit breaker. It then leaves the circuit breaker and then it heads to the plunger switch. Then that black wire comes out of the plunger switch and it actually leads to the brake light timer relay. So this black wire right here is actually providing the power to the relay because that's what's coming off of the plunger switch. The bottom black wire is actually the main ground. And lastly, the orange wire is actually providing the power directly to the brake lights at the rear of the cart. Now that I have reviewed all of the parts of the brake light wiring, let's begin the troubleshooting process. The first thing I'm going to do is bring all of the components to the surface. They are simply resting in the bottom of this cart. Now some carts, they will use adhesive to connect these and to adhere them to the sides, but these are just laying loosely in the bottom, which honestly is more than sufficient because the reality of it is these carts are not achieving very high speeds and there's really nowhere for these items to go. So just to give you a little bit of backstory, the way I discovered there was a problem with the brake lights is I went out to my garage one evening and the brake lights were illuminated. Nobody had used the cart for several weeks, so it was very odd. I immediately took the parking brake off and then I applied the brake to see if the lights were going to work, and they did not. So I knew right away there was something that had went bad and I needed to figure that out, which is what led me to doing this and to making this video. While any of the components in the brake light wiring could be faulty, typically I always look at the brake light timer relay as the main problem. And the reason why I say that is because when you put your cart in park, you are basically pressing down on the brake and it is locked down, which means that plunger switch is always sending power to the relay, and that means the brake light timer relay is always energized. Inside of that relay is essentially a coil, and that means that coil is under immense electrical pressure, and essentially when you lock that parking brake and you walk away, that coil is sitting there and it is cooking for hours and days and even months at a time. So if you want to make the brake light timer relay last even longer, the best solution would be to park your cart on a level surface or to have wheel chocks on your cart, so that way you don't have to have the parking brake locked all the time, which means you're not always sending power to that relay. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the incoming power to the relay, which is the top black wire in the case of this particular cart. And I'm also going to remove the orange wire, which is the power going to the lights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the orange wire to the black wire directly. In this case, I bent a paper clip so that it would fit inside of each of the wire connectors. And essentially, I'm just jumping those two wires together. This is bypassing the relay entirely. So if I eliminate the relay from the equation and the lights work, then I know that I have a bad relay. Now you want to make sure that you do have the parking brake locked down so that the plunger switch is sending the power to the black wire and then it will pass directly through to the orange wire. All we have to do now is check to see if the brake lights are illuminated, and if so, then the brake light timer relay is the issue. As you can see, the brake lights are working perfectly, so let's go ahead and let's get that brake light timer relay replaced. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and pull the jumped wires apart so they're no longer jumped together. Then we can connect the new relay. Now I'm purposely letting the negative wire on the old relay because I don't want to get mixed up, since obviously there are two black wires on the relay configuration, so I'm doing this to avoid any confusion. I'm hooking the incoming power to the top connector on that left-hand side of the new relay. Then I'm moving the negative, the ground, over to that bottom connector on the left-hand side of the relay. And then I'm hooking the orange wire to the connector on the right-hand side of the relay. So here's a real quick overview of how you connect this. The 2+ terminal is power to the relay. The 3- terminal is the main ground. And then the number 1 terminal is out to the brake lights. Okay, before we put everything back together, let's give this a quick test. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the parking brake off, and then I'm going to reset it. That way it reactivates everything. And as you can see here, the brake lights are illuminated. I just need to wait and make sure that the brake lights turn off on their own, and that will confirm that the brake light timer relay is working properly. It should only take a few more seconds. There it is. The brake lights turned off on their own. Next, I'm going to tuck everything back in underneath the floorboard and make sure that everything is as neat as possible. And then I am ready to reinstall the cover. Make sure when you're reinstalling the cover that you have the center hole lined up so that the plastic clip or plastic pin, whatever you'd like to call it, will fit perfectly. So then you can just push that right in. Now it's time to install the floor mat. Make sure that you take your time and make sure that you place the hole over the pedal group so that you can get everything situated properly. This does take a little bit of patience, but after you get it worked in everywhere, it does typically fit very well. Again, just take your time on this step. Once the floor mat is down and all the trim pieces are in place, it is time to go ahead and reinstall the Torx screws on both sides of the cart. You'll notice that I'm using a Milwaukee M12 cordless 3/8 ratchet. And the reason why I like using a cordless ratchet for these screws is because I don't want to over tighten them. I find that if you use an impact driver, it is much easier to over tighten them. The ratchet gives me a way to tighten it until it's snug, and then I can finish tightening it by hand. These Milwaukee cordless ratchets are awesome. If by chance you are looking for a good 3/8 Torx bit set, I purchased one on Amazon that is great quality for the price point. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. I will also leave a link to the brake light system components in case you're in need of any of those. Okay, the last step is to turn the power back on to the cart. Thank you again for watching. You are watching Average Joe Video. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more helpful videos just like this one.